The swimmer raised a little dolphin. This is what he did when they met in the ocean. He pulled a dying creature from the waves. No one believed it would survive the night. But what happened years later left an entire beach speechless. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what comes next. The morning air was freezing in Cape Cod. Tom Bradley pulled his wetsuit over his shoulders and walked toward the beach. He was 42 years old, unmarried, and worked part-time at a hardware store. Most people in town knew him as the guy who swam every morning, no matter the weather. Some called him dedicated. Others called him strange. Tom didn't care either way. The ocean was where he felt alive. He stepped into the cold Atlantic, the water biting at his skin. The beach was empty except for a few seagulls picking at the sand. He dove under a wave and started swimming. His arms cut through the water in steady strokes. This was his routine. His escape. But 20 minutes into his swim, something caught his eye. A dark shape floating near the rocks. At first, Tom thought it was seaweed. But as he got closer, his stomach dropped. It was a baby dolphin. The animal was tangled in fishing net, its small body limp and barely moving. Blood streaked across its gray skin. Its eyes were half open, staring at nothing. Tom's heart pounded. He swam faster, reaching the dolphin in seconds. He grabbed it carefully, feeling how cold it was. Too cold. He pressed his ear against its side. There was a heartbeat. Faint. Weak. But there. Hang on, Tom whispered. Just hang on. He pulled out his diving knife and started cutting away the net. His hands shook. The net was wrapped tight around the dolphin's fins and tail. Every cut had to be careful. One wrong move and he could hurt it more. The dolphin didn't move. Didn't fight. It was too weak. When the last piece of net fell away, Tom lifted the dolphin into his arms. It was small, maybe 3 feet long, but heavier than he expected. He turned back toward shore and started swimming. His muscles burned. His lungs screamed for air. But he didn't stop. When he reached the beach, he stumbled onto the sand, gasping. The dolphin lay in his arms, barely breathing. A voice shouted from the pier. "What VE you got there, Bradley?" Tom looked up. It was Ray, one of the local fishermen. A big guy with a thick beard and a loud mouth. He walked over with 2 other men, all of them grinning. "It's a dolphin," Tom said, his voice shaking. "It's dying." Ray laughed. "So throw it back. Nature'll take care of it." "I'm not throwing it back." One of the other men, a younger guy named Carl, smirked. "What are you gonna do, take it home?" "You can't save that thing, man. It's already half dead." Tom ignored them. He carried the dolphin to a shallow pool between 2 rocks. The water there was calmer. Warmer. He laid the dolphin down gently, keeping its head above the surface. Ray shook his head. "You're wasting your time, Bradley. That thing won't last a day." Tom didn't answer. He stayed in the water, his hands supporting the dolphin, his eyes locked on its small, struggling body. The fisherman walked away, still laughing. Tom sat in the cold water for hours. His legs went numb. His fingers turned white. But he didn't move. The dolphin's breathing was shallow, each breath a struggle. Sometimes it would stop completely, and Tom's heart would freeze until the next breath came. By afternoon, the tide started rising. Tom knew he couldn't stay there forever. He carefully lifted the dolphin and carried it back to his truck. He had no plan. No idea what he was doing. He just knew he couldn't let it die. His apartment was small. 1 bedroom, a tiny kitchen, and a bathroom that barely fit a tub. But it would have to work. Tom filled the bathtub with seawater he hauled up in buckets from the beach. It took 8 trips. His back ached with every step. But he kept going. He placed the dolphin in the tub and sat on the floor beside it. The dolphin floated there, motionless except for the slight rise and fall of its breathing. Tom didn't know what to feed it. Didn't know how to care for it. He pulled out his phone and started searching. Most articles said the same thing. Call a marine rescue center. Let professionals handle it. But Tom didn't trust that. What if they took one look and decided it wasn't worth saving? What if they put it down? No. This was his responsibility now. He found a pet store still open and bought a baby bottle. The clerk gave him a strange look but didn't ask questions. Tom mixed fish oil with water, hoping it was close enough to what a baby dolphin needed. When he tried to feed it, the dolphin turned its head away. It didn't want to eat. Tom tried again. And again. His hands shook. The bottle slipped. He wanted to scream. But he kept trying. On the 7th attempt, the dolphin finally latched on. It drank slowly, weakly. Tom let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Good, he whispered. That's good. That night, Tom didn't sleep. He sat by the tub, checking the dolphin's breathing every few minutes. He was terrified he'd wake up and find it dead. By morning, his eyes burned with exhaustion. But the dolphin was still alive. Word spread fast in a small town. By the second day, people were talking. Tom's neighbor knocked on his door. Tom, what's that smell? I'm handling it. It smells like something died in there. Tom closed the door without answering. But the next morning, she came back with a bag of fresh fish. She didn't say anything. Just left it on his doorstep. The fishermen weren't as kind. When Tom went to the beach to get more seawater, Ray was there with his crew. Still got that dying fish, Bradley? It's not dying. Carl laughed. Give it a week. You'll see. Animals don't care about you. Soon as it's strong enough, it'll forget you exist. Ray nodded. You're wasting your time, man. That thing's gonna break your heart. Tom filled his buckets and walked away. Their laughter followed him all the way back to his truck. He clenched his jaw and kept moving. They didn't understand. They didn't see what he saw every time the dolphin looked at him. Every time it pressed against his hand when he touched its side. This wasn't just some animal. This was a life. And Tom wasn't giving up. 3 weeks passed. Tom's life became a routine of feeding, cleaning, and watching. He lost his job at the hardware store. His boss called twice asking where he was. The third time, he just said don't bother coming back. Tom didn't argue. He had $200 left in his account and a dolphin that needed him more than he needed a paycheck. He named her Blue. Simple name. Nothing fancy. But when he said it, she seemed to respond. Her eyes would focus on him. Her body would shift toward his voice. Blue grew stronger each day. Her breathing became steady. Her movements less stiff. She started making sounds. Soft clicks and whistles that filled the small bathroom. Tom would sit on the floor and talk to her for hours. You're tough, he'd say. Tougher than anyone gives you credit for. Blue would swim to the edge of the tub and rest her head near his hand. Tom would stroke her gently, feeling the smooth skin under his fingers. Those moments made everything worth it. The lost job. The empty bank account. The whispers from neighbors. But Blue was outgrowing the bathtub. Tom knew it. Every day she seemed more cramped, more restless. He started taking her to the beach before sunrise, when no one was around. He'd carry her in a large cooler filled with seawater. His arms screamed from the weight, but he didn't stop. The first time he put her in the tide pool, Blue panicked. She thrashed and squeaked, trying to climb back into his arms. Tom waded in and held her steady. It's okay. I'm right here. This is your home, Blue. You need to remember it. It took days before Blue would swim on her own. Even then, she wouldn't go far. She'd circle the pool once, twice, then rush back to Tom. She'd press against his legs like she was making sure he hadn't left. Tom spent hours in that pool with her, teaching her to swim longer distances, encouraging her to dive deeper. Some mornings, his whole body ached from the cold water. But when Blue would leap out of the water and splash back down, his exhaustion didn't matter. Ray and his crew noticed. They'd stand on the pier, watching and laughing. "Look at him," Carl shouted one morning. "Playing mommy to a fish." Ray shook his head. "Bradley, you're out of your mind. That thing's gonna leave you the second it can." "They all do." Tom didn't look up. He kept his focus on Blue, guiding her through the water. But Ray's words dug into him. What if he was right? What if all of this was for nothing? That night, Tom sat on the rocks and watched Blue swim in the moonlight. She was beautiful now. Healthy. Strong. Nothing like the dying creature he'd pulled from the waves. But watching her also hurt. Because Tom knew the truth. Blue didn't belong in a tide pool. She didn't belong in his bathtub. She belonged out there, in the open ocean. And soon, he'd have to let her go. Even if it destroyed him. 2 months had passed since Tom found Blue. She was almost 5 feet long now, fast and graceful. The tide pool felt like a prison for her. Tom could see it in the way she swam. She'd circle faster, push against the rocks, testing the edges like she wanted more space. More freedom. Tom knew the day was coming. The day he'd been dreading since the moment he pulled her from the water. One morning in late March, he sat by the pool and watched Blue swim. She leaped into the air, twisting her body before splashing back down. She was ready. He could feel it. She didn't need him anymore. His neighbor Rosa walked over with 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Tom and sat beside him on the rocks. "She's getting big," Rosa said. "Yeah. You know what that means, right?" Tom didn't answer. He just stared at Blue, his chest tight. Rosa sipped her coffee. "You gave her a second chance, Tom. Most people wouldn't have done that. But you can't keep her here forever." "I know. So when?" Tom's voice cracked. "Soon." Rosa put her hand on his shoulder. "It's going to hurt. But you're doing the right thing." Tom nodded, but his throat felt like it was closing. He'd spent every single day for 2 months keeping Blue alive. Feeding her. Protecting her. And now he had to push her away. Into a world that almost killed her once. That afternoon, Tom made his decision. He waited until the beach was empty. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. He waded into the tide pool where Blue was waiting. She swam over immediately, nudging his hand. Tom knelt down in the water. His hands shook as he touched her head. "Listen to me, Blue. You can't stay here anymore. You need to go. Out there. That's where you belong." Blue clicked softly, pressing closer to him. Tom's eyes burned. "I know you don't understand. But this is it. This is goodbye." He stood up and guided her toward the edge of the pool, where the water opened up to the ocean. Blue hesitated. She turned back toward Tom, her eyes locked on his. "Go," Tom said, his voice breaking. "Please. Just go." Blue didn't move. She stayed there, watching him. Tom's chest heaved. Tears streamed down his face. He couldn't do this. He couldn't just push her away. But then he remembered Ray's words. "She's gonna leave you anyway." And Tom realized something. Blue deserved the choice. She deserved freedom. Even if it meant losing her forever. Tom stepped back. He waved his hand, motioning toward the open water. "Go, Blue. Live your life." Blue floated there for another moment. Then slowly, she turned. She swam toward the open ocean. Tom watched her go, his whole body shaking. She didn't look back. She just kept swimming until her fin disappeared beneath the waves. Tom stood alone in the water, the tide pulling at his legs. His heart felt like it had been ripped out. Ray was right. She was gone. And she wasn't coming back. 3 years passed. Tom still swam every morning. But the ocean felt empty without Blue. He'd scan the water, hoping to see a familiar fin. But it never appeared. People stopped asking about the dolphin. Even Ray and his crew moved on to other jokes. Tom tried to accept it. Blue was wild now. Living the life she was meant to live. That's what mattered. Even if it left a hole in his chest. One August morning, the water was unusually calm. Tom swam farther than usual, his arms cutting through the glassy surface. That's when he felt something brush against his leg. His heart stopped. He looked down. A shadow moved beneath him. Large. Fast. Then a dolphin exploded from the water right beside him. Tom gasped, treading water. The dolphin circled him once, twice, then came closer. It nudged his shoulder gently. That's when Tom saw the scar. A thin line across the dorsal fin. The same scar Blue had from the fishing net. His breath caught. Blue? The dolphin clicked loudly and pressed against him. Tom wrapped his arms around her, tears streaming down his face. You came back. You actually came back. Blue squeaked and splashed, circling him like she'd never left. From the pier, voices erupted. Ray and Carl stood frozen, staring. No way, Carl whispered. That's impossible. Ray's mouth hung open. It remembers him. A small crowd gathered, phones raised. Tom didn't care. He held Blue close, laughing and crying at the same time. They said you'd forget me. But you didn't. Blue stayed with him for an hour, playing and diving. When she finally swam away, she circled back one last time. Tom waved. I'll be here tomorrow. And she was. Every morning after that, Blue returned. The bond they shared wasn't broken. It never would be. Some things, not even the ocean can wash away.